Hello, my loyal readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description. Please like, subscribe, and remember that this is my opinion. If you have your own opinion on the story, please leave it in the comment section below. So, this story is called Turnabout Storm. It's a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney and My Little Pony crossover. It's written by Fireside. It was originally written by Raven Regos. I think I pronounced that right. Now he's called Chrome Regis. And it's actually a novelization of a video series on YouTube of the same name. As always, back earlier, like videos ago, I did a review on Mario, Luigi, and Bowser, which is a novelization of Bowser's Inside Story. And I said in that video that when it came to novelizations, they are incredibly hard to do. There is a certain mindset of set expectations going into the story. And when I started reading this, because there's actually two versions of this. There was the version that was originally written by Raven Regos. That later became when Firesight, the current author, got a hold of it. He did a complete overhaul, so I'm going to be only reviewing Firesight's version. And again, there's a certain amount of expectation. I wasn't particularly a big fan of the videos themselves. I thought while the idea was great, the characters were pretty decent. I always thought later into the videos, particularly around the last two videos, the writing started to kind of go downhill a little bit, and I thought, why? And like the entire end of the video was kind of riddled with nothing but plot holes, and that's just my opinion. So, what's the plot of Turnabout Storm? If you don't know what the difference between the video and the fanfiction version, I'll explain that in a tiny bit. As soon as I get rid of the plot. Sorry. In the plot, a Pegasus athlete named A Swift is murdered, and Rainbow Dash is the prime suspect. So, Twilight Sparkle, under the orders of Princess Celestia, brings Phoenix Wright from his world into Equestria to try and acquit her. In Equestria, he has to solve the mystery of A Swift, has to deal with Trixie as the prosecutor, and has to deal with all sorts of shenanigans. And what say? That's pretty much the cut and dry version of the videos. The fan fiction is pretty much the same thing with just adding more. This is what I call, I guess you can say, an expansive novelization, because that's what Fireside put in the synopsis of the story. If you look, it'll say it's an expanded adaptation. So there's a lot more that's added in. While Mario, Luigi, and Bowser was actually more of a traditional storyboard-like novelization where it kept the entire beats, just told it in more novelized way, and the only real addition the author put in that story was change who the main character was. In this novelization, there's so much more that is done. There is the romance between Twilight and Phoenix. That's the first big thing. And what I have to say about that is, when I first read the story, I particularly didn't like the relationship. I felt it was way too shoehorned and didn't work at all. While they did have chemistry near the end, I felt that there was really no need to pull a relationship, because it's just not every single story has to have a relationship of some kind. No, that's kind of stupid. However, because of the overhaul done by Fireside, plus a sequel that he did that is a continuation of Turnabout Storm, I felt the relationship kind of grew on me. It didn't feel shoehorned anymore. It felt much more natural. The author gave Twilight and Phoenix more chemistry. Raven and Edgeworth, that's more shoehorned than Twilight and Phoenix now. There is the backstory of Sonata, going more into more detail with that. There is all the plot hole fix of Trixie and the Black Locks and being an elemental. I really love the idea of elementals and how they kind of have stigmatisms against them, whether they're good or bad. Like Twilight being a fire elemental, and it said, "Oh, they're apostles of Celestia," but Trixie is a weather elemental slash ice elemental, so she's an apostle of or scion of Nightmare Moon. And I love all the details. And then after the trial, there's all these little details that need to be cleared up. Maya, Pearl, and Edgeworth come into Equestria. They get dragged in. um, Phoenix has to do some pro bono work. He has to clear and actually prosecute again to try and clear up charges against Sonata and Trixie as sort of pro bono work. The whole subplot of and tangent point of possible side story with Edgeworth teaming up with a character named Delta Requiem to clear out the corrupt justice system, which I'm surprised the games themselves didn't do. Overall, if I have to say anything, I think the plot is overall clearer in the fanfiction than the animated version. I think the author did a much better job. He not only did he expand it, he connected all the dots in a way that made sense. While the animated version, there's no doubt how bad there's no doubt how that it has its fans and it's good on its own. But I just personally feel, in terms of plot, it's leaving something to be desired with all these plot holes and like latter half, like the end of it. Character development. I really love all the characters. I love what the author did with. I just noticed my hair. What the author did with all the characters, especially the concurrent characters who kind of appeared in both, as well as the new characters. First off, with the characters that kind of appeared, that the non-new characters, Twilight is more natural. She seems more like what she acted like in the show. Phoenix, right? He was actually more hilarious. I have to give the Gold Crow credit for being Phoenix, right, and actually being pretty good at it. I would easily see him being in the English dub. That's no, that sub. Sorry, going off topic for a second there. I loved Trixie. Out of all the characters in like the first half of it, like the first 40, like 50 something chapters, I love Trixie the most because she seemed so sympathetic. I loved her backstory because it kind of reminded me of myself being bullied and being picked on a lot. Not for having magical powers, because that's just stupid. Magic doesn't exist. Um, but there's lots of people like that in the day-to-day life, and it actually made me cry when I read that again. Um, there's a lot of parts that kind of make the characters act more like their actual TV show versions. While the animated version actually did a great job with the characters, minus Trixie, I think they could have. Not for the fact that they got burned out at the end. I would have loved to see them do more with Trixie, but I liked what the author did with Trixie. Now onto the original characters, the whole guest characters. I don't really care about them because they seem unimportant. Besides, wanting to be like fan service to the fans. Why am I hiccuping now? Oh, I stopped. Let's hope it doesn't continue. I loved Delta Requiem. I think she's a great character. I would honestly love to see her more. If I find something of a spinoff detailing Edgeworth, Delta, and Rarity's whole adventure, I would love to read that just to see what Delta Requiem is like. The judges, the corrupt one, and fair and due process. I thought they were okay for what they were mainly because it's a Phoenix Wright. You can't have Phoenix Wright without the judge, and he's not there. So it was like, okay, what's going on? I really loved how I forgot the word. Oh, I love the derailment of the characters. They seem more in tune to what the characters acted like in the cartoon than the videos did. That's not saying the videos did it bad. It's just they weren't they were missing something. Maybe it's because of the whole visual novel aspect of it. I don't know, but that's just me. Grammar, offhandedly, that's fine. I have nothing wrong with the grammar of the whole situation. Pacing, I actually adore the pacing. I like the idea of everything of each part of the trial being segued by like a specific part. That way, it's like so like, oh, it ends here because that as a natural ending point at the beginning of the chapter. Afterwards, it gives you like a little summary. It gives you like a tiny paragraph summary of what happened last chapter in case you leave the site and you go back and you're like, what happened last time, and it's like, oh, so that's what happened. Makes sense. I thought that was a cool. I thought that was a neat idea. Imagery, everything's fine. Everything's imagined fine. I mean, I could get a clear picture in my mind because if you've seen some of my earlier videos, I mentioned that when I read, I like to picture everything in my mind, like I'm watching a movie. So the more clear, the better. And that's probably just me. But I love the picture. I kept screwing up, but that's just me because it's like I got used to watching the video version, especially Operation Turnabout, which I love offhandedly. Um, there was yeah. But I just kept kind of screwing up, and I loved the wordplay, the prose, the exposition. I thought that was a good mix. The pacing, I think, going back to the pacing, I think the pacing was phenomenal. I think it was paced right. The whole having fair climaxes build up slowly while kind of plateauing and then slowly riding down to ride the way. It's like, wow, what that just happened. And in terms of emotional enjoyment, I have to say this did a far better job than the videos. Because I personally think the videos were missing something, that emotional spark that wants to get you raised on your feet and say, "Go Phoenix, go!" And for some reason, it's like I saw the videos a couple times each, and it's like they were missing something. I don't know what it was. I think, and this may just be me, but I think I felt kind of an emotional disconnect because like I couldn't really flow through the characters. It could be because of the acting. It could be because of some kind of factor. But for some reason, I just couldn't feel the emotion coming off Turnabout Storm. Like the way, like not only the fan fiction, but again, Operation Turnabout did a far better job of conveying emotion in the same way Turnabout Storm did. Mainly because the villain was such an amazing character. Spoilers for Operation Turnabout. Um, that I can't really mention. That I can't really describe how in words how I feel between videos and the fan fiction. Now, sorry, my thoughts. Sorry. Now, I'm not saying again. I'm not saying the animation is bad. The animation is bad. I just think the fan fiction did a far better job. If someone could describe what I'm missing, I don't know. Maybe someone else could better describe it for me. I would love to hear their opinions on that. But to me, it just feels like they were missing that emotional spark. Now that's over with. Favorite part, would I recommend it, and final thoughts. When it comes to favorite part, because I'm actually going back to another fanfiction, Total Alternate Island. There is so many parts in the story that I love that I do want to put here. I honestly do want to put here. There's Trixie's backstory. There is the whole corrupt judge, them dealing with the judge. Fluttershy actually ripping off the video. Fluttershy saying objection and doing the whole uh, test uh, turnabout testimony thing. I'm not familiar with legal terms at all, so forgive me if I'm screwing up the terms. Trixie Twilight's whole duel with Trixie in general. That whole chapter, I would love. Phoenix kind of going on his day-to-day basis. I thought that was a nice little interlude to the final act. The whole emotional goodbye for Phoenix, right? I thought that was truly touching. But if I had to pick one single part of the entire fan fiction, it would actually have to be a tie between Gilda and Rainbow Dash's little apology, because it was just so touching, and I love the fact that they added that scene, and just, you know, they were saying sorry, and why am I thinking of chocolates now? I was about to say it, and then I just got a random thought of chocolates in my head for some odd reason. But it would be either Gilda and Dash's apology, or the aforementioned Fluttershy testimony. Because I thought, oh my god, it was so much awesome. It was so much more awesome than in the animation. Again, not insulting the animation. Would I recommend it? Again, this is a touchy point when it comes to novelization, because novelizations are a tricky business deal. They are incredibly hard to do because everyone has expectations of, and the higher the expectations, the more you would have to put pressure on yourself to try and meet those expectations or beat those expectations. So when it comes down to is, did Turnabout Storm beat the expectations, or at least match the expectations that the animated versions set? And my answer to that is, hell yeah, I would recommend the ever-loving shit out of it. Everything I love about the animated version is in here, massively done better. There's more stuff to do. It's different. The authors added more than enough to technically classify it as a new story altogether, and which is what I love about novelization, because it's a high risk, high reward. You either crash and burn trying to meet the expectations, or you beat those expectations and you say you got an incredibly masterclass of story, or masterpiece, however you want to say it. I like saying both. There is nothing bad I really would not like, except maybe, I mean, in terms of what I would add, I wouldn't add anything, well, except maybe like one more cameo by Luna, but honestly, that's just a incredibly minor point. That is it. I wouldn't take away anything. I wouldn't change anything. I mean, if it was the first version, I would honestly change the relationship, or flat out just get rid of it. But now that is in a different author's hands and it's done much better, I would say keep it. I love the relationship now because it seems so touching. It's like, aww. And I cried, and I actually legitimately cried when Phoenix and Twilight said goodbye and Phoenix went back home. I thought that was so touching. And that's overall what my thoughts are. Now, if you have your own thoughts of the story, please leave in the comments. So, that's my review of Turnabout Storm. I didn't want to say everything because, personally, this is one of those stories that you have to read to believe. It's one of those stories that, in all honesty, you can't truly describe in words. Not to mention, there is so much I would talk about. It would go on for a while, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to make the story 40, 50, an hour long just to talk about every single detail about the story. And honestly, this is one of those stories I'd much rather do like a Cliff Notes version, so that way people can enjoy the story more without like going, is it, oh, I want to see what this guy says. Okay, I read the story. Bye. and not bother reading the story at all. Just like read the review and it's like, I'm not playing it, or I'm not reading it. So I just want people to enjoy it, which is what I love about fan fiction. So, again, that's my review. Sorry for going on that last tangent. And this has been my review on Phoenix Wright Turnabout Storm. I will see you next time, my loyal readers, and cut.